I'm Jill Elliot, and I was one of four children rescued from the Dundas Street Bridge almost 53 years ago in August of 1968. There was Kathy Salmon, Savannah Inetta, and a new friend of ours, Chris Lazinski, and her dog, Mickey, who were stuck on the bridge. I felt very happy that I was born and raised in the valley. It was like living in a small town, but connected to the city of Toronto. At that time in our lives, we were able to just wander freely. You'd leave house in the morning and come back when the lights went on. The park was the main focus for us to spend our days, whether it was at Magwood Park with supervised activities, there were dances and there were sports and everything else connected there. We also would wander down towards the old mill just to fill our days, and sometimes we'd wander towards the Lambton Hotel and cross the bridge there because the water was very shallow to the other side of the Humber River, and maybe walk down to James Gardens.
I'm Kathy Salmon, and I'm actually the youngest of the four girls who were caught under the Dundas Bridge on the abutment that we were rescued from by the fire department on August the 7th, 1968. I was 11 years old. We were swimming there in our skivvies, our underwear, when all of a sudden the rain started, and we just very calmly got out of the water and retrieved our clothing and put it on. And before we knew it, the area that we had been in to cross over from the shore over to the abutment, that area, the water got really high very, very quickly so that we couldn't wade back across to safely to shore. The current was really fast, and it also was coming up onto the concrete pad that we had been standing on where our clothes were when we came out of the water. Eventually it covered that so that we could no longer even stand on that concrete pad. We had to sit on the little lip of the concrete pillar that came down from up above.
Someone from the apartment building, as I recall, saw us there and called the fire department and the police, who soon arrived. I was really quite embarrassed that when they did arrive, and at that time, as a 12-year-old, I don't think I realized the danger that we were in, and just really thought that, well, after a couple of hours, the water will subside and go down, and then we can go home. And I was particularly worried because I personally had been grounded, and my mother had just let me out, and I was worried about what she would say. So when the police and the fire department came, I was feeling embarrassed, and I was feeling nervous about what my mother would say.
And we were definitely very excited when we saw the rescue teams coming down to us. And before long, there was quite a few people on the shore watching us as well. So they came down, and they realized that they couldn't get the aerial truck in place, from what I understand at the time. So what they did was they strung a bunch of ladders together, and then they used a crane. You can see in the photos, they used a crane to put that ladder over and then plunked it on top of the little lip of the bridge abutment, so that one of the firefighters, Ken Nickel, crawled across that thing to come and try and rescue us. Well, the water was just raging like crazy. So he got over there. He's there with us now. And he's explaining to us how we're going to get onto this strung together ladders and crawl back across this raging water. So the first person to do this was Chris Lazinski. And you can see in the photo when she first gets on it, I'm sitting beside her, and my face is looking at her as if to say, because she kind of jumps back and cries, and I'm looking at her as if to say, what are you being such a sissy for? Years later, I realized that she jumped back off that ladder, which was a good thing that she did because it fell into the water. And if she had fallen in with it, that donut that she had around her to keep her afloat would have come completely off. She would have been in Lake Ontario in no time. She never would have survived falling into that water. So she got off, and then they bulldozed an area out so that they could actually get the aerial truck down, or the aerial ladder truck down. And so once they bulldozed all of that out, they had to put a whole bunch of stuff like in place so that they could make sure that the truck wouldn't rock while they got the ladder across and we were crawling back on it.
It took quite a bit of time, and we had to stand on one side of the abutment while they tried to put all of these things in place. And it became quite chaotic as helicopters from the various news outlets came to see what was going on. And I think one or two of them even flew underneath the bridge, which created a lot of wind and was more frightening.
Once they got that in place, and the firefighters, were comfortable with the fact that we could walk back across it, they walked each of us back one by one, holding on to us. Those guys risked so much for us that day, and I guess we're really lucky to still be here, although at the time we weren't really very scared. It was just like, this is pretty exciting. We've got all these people watching us, the television and newspaper crews were all there filming us. There were throngs of people on the shore watching us, and I remember Savannah, Inetta's mom, she was on the shore and she was crying.
After we got across, everybody was happy to see us. I didn't get in as much trouble as I thought I was going to get in. And being the community that the valley is, we all went to a neighbor's house and she made spaghetti and we all watched all of us on TV. I can look back as an adult 53 years later and realize how lucky we were that the firefighters and the police were willing to risk their lives for us, and I really am thankful for that. I'm sure many of those people have passed on, but there's probably a few of them still living, and wanted to send along a personal thank you.